วงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางห้วยงงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรมจำพรากจากไปไกลตา
Welcome to the Underground. You're listening to The American Expat, and today we're going to be talking about changes. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably noticed that the world around us is going through some major changes. Now, I'm not talking about the tumultuous stuff happening out there in the cities. I'm talking about new technologies like artificial intelligence and 5G. New technologies that make it less and less necessary for you to live near the place where you work. In fact, a quick search of any online job board will reveal a multitude of remote work opportunities. Now, with that in mind, you've probably also seen articles in the news about villages in Europe where you can buy a house for $1. Maybe the thought has even occurred to you that, hey, I could go and get one of those remote jobs, go to Europe, buy a house for $1, and live the dream. I certainly am an advocate for becoming an expat. In fact, you can check out one of my old videos for reasons why I think you should become an expat. But let's say you're not one of those people. You don't want to move across the ocean. You want to stay in the United States, but you do want to get away from wherever it is that you are for whatever reason. I have good news for you. There are plenty of opportunities right here in the United States. Plenty of cities around the country that are willing to pay you money if you decide you want to relocate there. Today I'm going to be giving you 5 of those cities, as well as where you can go to find information about other cities, because obviously there's more than 5. Anyway, more on that coming up in just a second, so stick around. Thanks for sticking with us. Now, before I jump into these places that are willing to pay you money to relocate, I do need to do a little bit of self-promotion. Now, I'm not saying to go and hit the like button right now, but do keep it in mind as you're watching through the video, and if by the end of the video you enjoyed what you heard, give it your mark of approval by hitting the thumbs up button. Also, if you enjoy the content, or if you just want to stick around to heckle me, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos as they come out. And now, without any further delays, let's go ahead and jump into the first place on the list that's willing to pay you to relocate. It's a little place called Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the form of the Tulsa Remote Program. Now, this program is willing to pay you $10,000 if you want to move to Tulsa, Oklahoma. $10,000, of course, if you buy a house. And I believe that $10,000 is paid out, or is it $5,000? Something like that. They pay it out as a subsidy if you want to rent. So basically, they're going to cover your rent costs up to that amount. Pretty good deal if you ask me. Tulsa, Oklahoma is kind of an upcoming place. It's a really pretty part of Oklahoma. Now, there is the downside that every May you have to worry about the sky reaching down and destroying your home and whatnot in the form of a tornado. But hey, what are the chances that it happens to you, right? I mean, it only happened to my friend's house a couple of times. But that's why you have homeowners insurance and a storm shelter. Anyway, yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Tulsa Remote. Check it out. Maybe the thought of the tornadoes in Tulsa are just a little bit too much. Or maybe you're living in the Midwest and you want to get away from Tornado Alley, which I have my own personal experience with that. If you want to hear about my own personal tornado horror story, you can click on this link as a bonus, and I'll share my little story. It's nothing fancy. Well, it's an interesting story, I think, because I almost got killed with my wife. It's her fault. Maybe you've got a dream of moving to New England and getting a job on not a crab boat, but well, maybe they do have crab boats there. I don't know, but a lobster boat. Well, I've got the perfect place for you in that case. A place called Augusta, Maine. Ah, yes. Augusta, Maine. Augusta, Maine, as it turns out, is willing to give you, if you decide to move there, of course, up to $15,660 in tax credits. What does that mean? It means if you live there for a year, they're going to refund up to that amount in your taxes from the state. Now, I have to say, I mean, if you're paying $15,000 in taxes, then maybe you probably ought to think about getting away from the New England states. They have a lot of taxes. You might want to start to consider the Tulsa remote thing, despite the whole tornado such and such But you know what? If you've got a dream, like I said, of being on one of those lobster boats, well, there's a couple of other things to consider. Houses are a little bit expensive over there in the New England states, so you may want to think about doing something else. I don't think that the lobster boat deckhand is going to get a big enough salary to cover the mortgage. In which case, yeah, maybe you can do it on the side, like a side gig. That way you can still tell people you're living your dream or whatever. But other than that, beautiful rocky shores, living in a fishing village, all of that sort of thing, working on the boats, beautiful place to live. I would love to be up there myself if it wasn't so expensive. But Augusta, Maine. Our next stop on the list takes us all the way back to the Midwest in the form of Topeka, Kansas. So if you have a remote job and you decide to buy a house in Topeka, Kansas, they will give you $10,000. If you don't want to buy a house and you decide you want to rent, they'll give you $5,000 in subsidies toward your rent. And on top of everything, they're going to give you $1,000 in free Jimmy Johns. Free smells? How about just free? The next city on the list takes us to the mountain state of West Virginia, to the city of Morgantown, specifically. Now, Morgantown, looking through what they have, is actually prepared to offer $20,000 worth of benefits, $12,000 of which is in the form of cash, and another $8,000 in stuff. I'm not sure exactly what, because it doesn't list it specifically here, but there's a lot to do in Morgantown, so I can only imagine it's a large number of things. Food probably at restaurants, local entertainment, who knows what. But fantastic place if you happen to enjoy the outdoors. It's also a college town, so there's probably a lot to do. I know there's a lot to do. I've been through there, not recently, but a long time ago, and it surprised me because of growing up in Virginia. You know, you hear about West Virginia and you think it's a certain way, and going through there was like, oh, actually, this is pretty nice. This is West Virginia? Yeah, that's West Virginia. Remember that, $20,000 worth of benefits. Sounds pretty tempting, actually. What do you need to be able to get that? Well, you just have to have a remote job that's located outside of West Virginia, be 18 or older, and love the outdoors. Only stipulations. Now for the fifth and final place that's willing to pay you money to be able to move there, or to move there. We're going to go to Michigan, southwest Michigan, the coast. That's the Great Lakes coast, not the ocean. Michigan doesn't border an ocean. Anyway, maybe you've been there. Maybe you know that there's some really beautiful little towns and areas up there. And as it turns out, if you want to go to southwest Michigan, they will give you $15,000 toward the purchase of a house, and then $1,000 more, bringing it to a total incentive value of $16,000 to go to southwest Michigan. As I said, it's very beautiful. I imagine it gets very, very cold in the winter, though, knowing how it is up that way. And there's probably quite a bit of wind. Internet probably isn't all that fast, but hey, maybe you don't care. Maybe you're just going out there because you want to go there and get away from the city or whatever place it is that you're at, as we mentioned in other parts of the video, and you just decide, hey, I want to go to southwest Michigan. Beautiful place. Been there on vacation. Now I want to go live there. Well, there you go. They'll give you $16,000 worth of incentives to go there. Of course, you can't be a current Michigan resident. And let's see what else we've got here. You have to purchase a home in several specific zip codes, and you must consider, you have to be a full-time resident when you move there. Important stuff in order to qualify. But hey, they'll put you through all of that before you get going to make sure that it's going to work out. Anyway, that's 5. Now, where am I going to get all this information, you're probably wondering? That's very simple. You go to a place called MakeMyMove.com. And you'll be able to find all kinds of cities with all kinds of incentives if you're willing to move there, all over the country. Just in case, as we said, you don't want to move outside of the country. Anyway, that's all I've got for this video. If you made it this far, you enjoyed it, remember, give it your mark of approval by hitting the thumbs up button, share it with your friends, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.
ไฟพะวงหลงเฝ้าสาวเจ้าบางประกงทางไว้งงหลงเกอหาโอเวรกรรม จำพรากจากไปไกลตา